Okay, so are you ready to dive into Consider Phlebas?
Absolutely. Let's do this.
This is Iain Banks we're talking about here. You've given me some really intriguing excerpts from the book,
Yeah.
and it seems like we're in for a wild ride
It's a wild ride.
through this amazingly complex universe that he's created.
It is. And, one of the things that I think is so great about Banks is that he throws you right into the action.
Oh, yeah.
Like, from the first page, you're kind of grappling with these huge ideas.
Yeah, and the scope is incredible. Right from the start, we're thrown into this massive conflict between the culture and the Idirans,
Hmm.
and it's clear that this isn't just some small-scale sperm.
Like, I don't know. It's a full-blown galactic war.
We're talking entire star systems being pulled into the...
Exactly. And, it's so interesting about it is that it's not your typical good versus evil kind of story.
Well, you said it right there.
Yeah.
Typical. We're not in typical territory at all with Iain Banks.
Right.
So how would you even begin to explain this? Because we're dealing with a culture, which is this incredibly advanced, technologically superior civilization.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily portrayed as the heroes either.
No, and I think that's one of the things that makes the book so compelling.
Because they seem to even need this war to feel useful.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point because
Like it's unnerving, almost.
it is unnerving, and it really gets at, I think, one of the core questions of the book, which is like, if you create a utopia, if you have a society where everyone's needs are met, where there's no scarcity,
Right.
where technology has advanced to the point where you can essentially do anything.
What then? What is there?
What then? What is the purpose of existence? What do you strive for?
What do you do with yourself? Yeah.
And so the fact that the culture, even with all of its advancements, still seems to need this kind of conflict, it really makes you think.
It does. And then there's the whole aspect of the minds.
Yes, oh my gosh, the minds.
I mean, we're talking about artificial intelligence on a scale that's almost impossible to comprehend.
Yeah, and Banks doesn't shy away from like throwing these kind of mind-boggling concepts at you.
No, he does not.
Like you highlighted that passage where the sheer scale of a mind's intelligence is described as needing 1,000 worlds to match it.
It's unfathomable. I mean, how do you even wrap your head around that?
You can't, and I think that's part of the point.
It's beyond
It's beyond our understanding, and yet these minds, they play such a crucial role in this universe, in the culture specifically.
They do. And what I find interesting is that even with that level of intelligence, there are hints that the minds are not infallible.
Right.
They can be unpredictable. They can even disappear entirely, as one seems to do in the excerpts that you pulled.
Which is terrifying.
It is. It's like, are they playing games with us? What are they really up to? And can something that vast and complex ever truly be controlled?
Or understood.
Or understood, yeah, yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that Banks really wants us to grapple with,
It makes you think, right?
because it makes you question, like, our own relationship with technology.
And then we have Horza, our main character,
Yeah.
trying to navigate this whole crazy situation.
Well, he's not just navigating it, he's a changer.
Oh, right. I mean, talk about a wild concept. He can change his appearance at will.
It's an incredible ability, and it makes you think about what identity really means.
It does. Like, if you can change how you look so easily,
Yeah,
what makes you you?
exactly. Is it just your appearance? Or is it something deeper?
Right. And Banks really doesn't shy away from the brutality of this universe either.
No, not at all.
That scene you pointed out, where Horza is forced to fight that young man to the death,
Oh, it's a tough scene to read.
just purely for the entertainment of others.
Yeah, and it really makes you question the morality of a society that would allow that.
Especially a society as advanced as the culture. You'd think they'd be beyond that kind of barbarity.
You'd think so, right? But it just goes to show that even in a utopia, there are still dark corners.
And it makes you wonder about the mind's role in all this.
Exactly. Like, where do they stand on something like that?
They have so much power, so much influence.
They do.
Are they turning a blind eye? Or is their definition of good just completely different from ours?
It's unsettling to think about.
It really is. And that ties into that whole theme of moral ambiguity that runs through the entire book.
Oh, absolutely. Banks doesn't give you any easy answers.
No, he really doesn't.
It's not a simple case of good guys versus bad guys.
Everyone's got their own agenda, their own reasons for fighting.
Exactly. And often, those reasons are kind of muddled.
They're messy.
Yeah, just like in real life.
And I love how Banks explores that through Horza's journey.
Oh, definitely. He's constantly being challenged.
Yeah, like that part where he's infiltrating that gambling den.
Oh, on the orbital, right. Yeah, that's a wild scene.
Talk about high stakes. It's like the whole place is falling apart around them.
And yet they're so caught up in this game.
It's like a microcosm for the whole war, isn't it?
Exactly. That sense of impending doom.
The recklessness, the desperation.
And you've got these motis feeding off the player's emotions.
It's a disturbing thought, but it makes you think about our own relationship with entertainment, doesn't it?
It does.
And
Like, how far are we willing to go for a thrill?
are we exploiting others in the process? It's a question we should all be asking ourselves.
Definitely. But amidst all that darkness, you've got Horza's escape from the orbital.
That was incredible. Talk about a close call.
The guy's got a knack for getting himself into and out of sticky situations.
He's resourceful, that's for sure.
And let's not forget, he's a changer.
Right. He's got that adaptability working in his favor.
Exactly. He can blend in, disappear when he needs to.
It's the ultimate survival tactic in this crazy universe.
No doubt.
Yeah.
But even with those skills, he's still facing overwhelming odds.
He is, and then he stumbles upon that abandoned culture ship.
The GSV. Talk about a ghost ship.
I mean, the scale of it is just mind-blowing. It's like a city in space.
It really gives you a sense of the culture's technological prowess.
Even deserted, it's impressive. But also kind of eerie, don't you think?
Oh, definitely. Like walking through the ruins of a lost civilization.
Exactly. And then, just when you think things can't get any weirder, we've got Belveda
Oh, yeah, the culture agent.
sent to infiltrate Horza's group.
Talk about a tangled web.
Mm-hmm.
And the tension between them is palpable.
You can cut it with a knife. They're both playing this dangerous game.
With incredibly high stakes.
And the thing is, they both believe they're doing the right thing.
That's the tragedy of it all, isn't it? They're both fighting for what they believe in.
Even if it means betraying those closest to them, and their journey takes them to Shar's world.
Oh, Shar's world, yeah.
Which sounds absolutely brutal, even by consider Phlebas standards.
It's a harsh, unforgiving environment.
Like a frozen wasteland, right?
Yeah, basically.
Oh.
It's a planet covered in ice and snow, hundreds of kilometers deep in some places.
You mentioned these tunnels, though, these vast underground tunnels.
Oh, yeah, they're incredible, really. They stretch for hundreds of kilometers in every direction. Nobody knows who built them or why.
But they're strategically important to both sides in the war.
Oh, absolutely. Because hidden within those tunnels is ancient technology.
The kind of technology that could turn the tide of the war.
Exactly. So both the culture and the Idirans are desperate to get their hands on it.
It sounds claustrophobic being down in those tunnels.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And dangerous, too.
Yeah.
Banks describes cave-ins, ancient traps, all sorts of hazards.
You shared that passage where Horza gets trapped in a collapsing tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about a nightmare scenario.
It's like something straight out of a horror movie.
Ugh.
You can almost feel the weight of all that ice and rock pressing down on you.
And even with all the advanced technology, he's still vulnerable.
Oh, absolutely. It's a reminder that nature is a powerful force, even in a universe with interstellar travel and artificial intelligence.
And amidst all this, the Idirans are closing in.
They are. And, you know, one of the things that Banks does so well is he doesn't just portray the Idirans as faceless villains.
No, he gives them depth, motivations.
Exactly. Like Uxaril, for example. You highlighted him in the excerpts you chose.
That scene where he's introduced, he's imposing, almost regal.
He's a fanatic, absolutely committed to the Idiran cause. But there's also a sense of nobility about him, a certain code of honor that he adheres to.
It's interesting how Banks can make you sympathize, even just a little, with a character who's essentially the antagonist.
Yeah. It speaks to his ability to write nuanced and complex characters, even those who are fighting against the protagonist.
And then that final showdown inside that ancient command system.
Oh, man. It's intense.
It sounds like pure chaos, like a sci-fi horror film.
It is. Banks really knows how to build suspense, you know, with these vivid descriptions, these sensory details that just put you right there in the thick of the action.
And just when you think you know how it's all going to end,
Banks throws in a curveball.
the mind vanishes.
Just like that. Gone.
Leaving Horza with that cryptic message?
It makes you question everything. Like,
Yeah.
what is the mind really after? What was the point of all of this?
It's like it's playing a game that only it understands.
Maybe. Or maybe it's something beyond our comprehension, you know? Like the mind operates on a whole other level.
And we're just along for the ride.
Maybe, in a way. But it's a ride that makes you think, that challenges your assumptions.
That's what's so great about Consider Phlebas, and really all of Iain M. Banks' work.
He doesn't shy away from big questions, you know?
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence, the ethics of war, the meaning of existence.
He throws you right into these complex scenarios, these moral dilemmas. And he doesn't give you any easy answers.
No, he doesn't. He makes you work for it. He makes you think for yourself.
And that's what makes it stick with you. Long after you've finished the book, you're still wrestling with those questions, those ideas.
Exactly. And I think that's a mark of truly great science fiction.
Absolutely. It's not just about spaceships and aliens.
It's about us. It's about what it means to be human.
In a universe that's constantly changing, constantly challenging our perceptions of reality.
And that's a conversation worth having.
Always. Well, I think we've only scratched the surface of Consider Phlebas today, but hopefully this has given our listeners a taste of this incredible book.
And a reason to check it out for themselves.
Absolutely. Because, trust us, it's a wild ride. Thanks for listening, everyone.